Welcome, everyone. Thank you for your patience as we get started tonight. And thank you all for being here. We're really happy to have you. We have an exciting program. So tonight we will be featuring contributors to our latest publication, 2019 Writing from Inlandia. I am Cati Porter. I am Executive Director of Inlandia. I also am have my heart in the workshops program. I founded the Inlandia's Ontario workshop back in 2010, and I've been just watching the program grow and thrive, and I'm really proud of all of our writers who will be presenting their work tonight. But before we begin, Inlandia Institute respectfully acknowledges and recognizes our responsibility to the original and current caretakers of this land, water, and air, the Cahuilla, Tongva, Luiseno, and Serrano peoples, and all of their ancestors and descendants, past, present, and future. Today, the Inlandia region is home to many Indigenous peoples from all over the world, and we express our gratitude to them for allowing us the opportunity to live and work on these homelands. So I would like to get us started with our readers, and I encourage you that if you have any questions or comments, feel free to use the chat, and questions, do put them in the Q&A box, and we will get to those toward the end of our program. If you have any questions about the workshops or about Inlandia, feel free. That's why we're here. So without further ado, I would like to introduce our first reader. Tonight we have Carlos Cortes. Carlos is a retired UCR history professor and is now co-director of the UCR School of Medicine's Health, Equity, Social Justice, and Anti-Racism curriculum. And he currently teaches Adventures in Chronology Land for Inlandia. So welcome, Carlos.
Ode to Baron Scarpia. Opera goers are supposed to hate Baron Scarpia, the arch villain of Giacomo Puccini's La Tosca, the Hannibal Lecter of Grand Opera. Scarpia, the bloody tyrannical chief of police, runs a reign of terror over Rome 1800, arresting, torturing, mutilating, killing, lusts after singer Floria Tosca, intent on seducing her, and if that doesn't work, dedicated to raping her. Desecrates a cathedral mass, singing about his lust for Tosca, drowning out the devout who are extolling Jesus, intoning, Tosca, you make me forget even God. Lies unrepentantly to Tosca, promising to spare her imprisoned lover in exchange for her body, while surreptitiously ordering his execution on the roof of the Castel San Angelo, which Laurel and I visited during our last trip to Rome, before dying at the hands of Tosca, stabbed to death as she spits out, "This is Tosca's kiss." But I don't go to the opera to love or hate. I go to observe the spectacle, soak up the ambience, revel in sonority. The first times I heard Puccini operas, La Bohème and Madame Butterfly, I enjoyed them. But once I heard Tosca, I was riveted by its darker tones, pulsating rhythms, sumptuous musicality, unrelenting emotion, pervasive evil. Now, every time I see it, I become increasingly envious of Scarpia's ability to enthrall audiences, his voice soaring above the gorgeous Te Deum that culminates Act One. So, in my next life, I want to be blessed with a rich baritone voice, to be able to sing like Scarpia, to actually play Scarpia, to hear the audience shouting, "Bravo!" as they salute my villain from hell. Gratitude, the life of Carlos, with apologies to Eric Idle. What did our parents ever do for us? They raised us in a nice home. Okay, but except for raising us in a nice home, What did our parents ever do for us? Well, they gave us a good education. Well, except for raising us in a nice home and giving us a good education, what did our parents ever do for us? Well, they took us on fun trips. Well, sure, but except for raising us in a nice home, giving us a good education, taking us on fun trips, what did our parents ever do for us? Well, they always had lots of music and books in the house. All right, but except for raising us in a nice home, giving us a good education, taking us on fun trips, and having lots of music and books in the house, what did our parents ever do for us? That's it.
Thank you, Carlos. That was great. Our next reader is another veteran of the workshops program. She is a member of the Riverside Creative Writing Workshop, one of the founding members. Deenaz Coachbuilder is a writer, artist, educator, environmental activist, involved in her community, wife, mother, and adoring grandmother, and in awe of this wonderful world. So welcome, Deenaz. And there she is.
Thank you, Katie. Thank you, Katie, and thank you, Inlandia Institute, for providing me the opportunity to share two of my poems this evening. One of the poems, the first one, needs an introduction. The nation experienced back-to-back mass shootings in El Paso and Dayton on August 3rd and 4th, 2019, respectively, that left over 30 dead and many wounded. This poem is about them, Chambers of the Heart. Lois was out for the first time after having a baby, Ray, now 2 months old. She was the kind of person who would do anything for anybody. Her 2 children will never see their mother again. Ivan Filiberto adored his young son and daughter. They say he was very caring of his ailing mother. Derek, trying to protect his son Dion from being killed, breathed his last breath in his arms. A loving family man, he painted houses and loved to fish and cook. His sister Twyla cannot understand why. Jordan died shielding her infant son from gunfire. She was the light of our family, full of heart. Her husband, Andre, was killed too, covering them both with his body. Their little one's fingers were broken. They were fathers, sons, babies, sisters, friends and lovers, even a grandfather. On an ordinary day, making plans for the evenings, texting friends, kissing loved ones, shopping to get ready for the first day of school. All gone in the time it takes a bullet to meet its target. Do not mourn anymore. Our drained bodies are encrusted with stagnant pools of tears that seep into this beloved country. Do not spread flowers along these sacred scenes, for there are not enough flowers to cover the blood. Is that your heart that bleeds? Oh, close, shut that chamber so you may survive. The second poem is a little lighter. Those numbers. Way into the 70s, I said matter-of-factly. Currents humming around me subtly change. They stumble unsure, wondering, and circle protectively. Should I take your plate? Let me help you. Instantly aged, warm-hearted, unearned veneration. 60, 70, 80. Fleeing decades lived ungently, a brimming river of loosened shells, some broken, some whole, that hold life's treasures stretching to the stars, with scattered moments in between of spoons full of dessert. When I step into eternity, it will be with curiosity, unencumbered by numbers. Until that crossing, let me be myself. Thank you.
Thank you, Deenaz. That was lovely. Our next reader is a member of our San Bernardino workshop, and she's been under both, I believe, Romaine Washington and with Allison Giaffredo. And her name is Cindi Pringle, and she has returned to her roots in creative writing through Inlandia's San Bernardino workshops. And we welcome you here tonight. Thank you, Cindi.
Thank you. I'll be reading one of my poems that is in this anthology. Things to do in hell. Pick flowers, solve a fiendish Sudoku, bake double chocolate chip cookies, cause a fatal car crash, stare out the window. Try speed dating. Walk a labyrinth, call your ex, scream out from a nightmare, take a bubble bath, overcook the turkey, read your obituary, start a rumor, brood, ask a celebrity for a selfie, wait for the biopsy results, negotiate with a debt collector, lead a group in prayer, pick up dog poo, make a wish and throw coins in the fountain, slaughter a chicken and then roast it, shoplift, recite desiderata from memory in front of the class, blame your parents, remarry your ex, learn to skydive, click the link that launches a virus on your computer, grab a Starbucks to go, abandon your home in a wildfire, lie to the priest in confession, plot to escape from hell, give up cable, take the kids on a hot air balloon ride, come down with food poisoning, break the windows with a baseball bat, savor the last meal before your execution.
Thank you, Cindi. You make hell sound positively inviting. That was great. Our next reader this evening, she is one of our newest members to the workshop program. Her name is Jessica Leah. She is a lawyer by trade and poet at heart. And she believes that poetry should be relatable and accessible. And she's an active member in the Riverside Art Museum's 52 project. So welcome, Jessica.
Thanks, Katie. Resurrection Garden. The cactus glistens with ornaments, but it's Lenten season. Metallic graveyard. Tattered fabric flowers surround crosses and candles, grieving ghosts. Yellow mustard blooms fill the field, unfolding the discarded couch, spring carpet. Wind blows, torn clothes, captured in chain link fences, prayer flags. Vibrant plywood windows on buildings, blackened by filth or flame, graffiti guild. Low gray clouds shroud rain-fed mountains, resurrection garden. Scents. The fragrance of mown grass and you are 12, waking up in the pink room with slanted walls, ready to go in the pool. A whiff of a Cabbage Patch doll, and you're 5 waking up on Christmas morning. I searched for your scent, breathed into your pillow and clothes after you died, in the room with the pink sloping walls, and inhaled nothingness. Electronic dusting of professional resumes generates flashbacks of agonizing choices, perfectly precise, pretentious action verbs. So much minutia, 1 page every 10 years. Detailed descriptions weaned to blips, then a list, then delete, delete, delete. Maybe editing, removing everything will stamp out memories and regrets from decades toiling away towards a forgotten goal, which must have been so important at the time. Quiet. Outside to sound bathe, craving respite. Train whistles, children screech, parents holler, bicycle gears rattle, click, cars backfire like gunshots, horns honking, siren sounds. The undercurrent of man-made racket flowing as one indistinguishable noise, a discordant symphony, drowning out the chirping, buzzing, fluttering, gurgling, rustling, creaking. My soul ached to hear. The only sounds of nature coming from a video on my laptop, which would have been easier to hear if I had stayed inside. Thank you.
That was great, Jessica. Thank you. Our next reader is another member of our Riverside workshops, both at the Janet Goski Center and at the Riverside Public Library, and I believe sometimes even at our Colton workshop. Tom Vaden is a statistician with an MS degree in mathematics, and he lives in Riverside with his wife, Delia. So welcome, Tom.
Thank you, Katie. I'm going to do one poem and then one excerpt.
It says you are muted.
Negotiation. She said she had a headache and could not perform. I said I had a fever for her beauty and charm. I could see in her eyes that she needed some space. Her blonde hair, her touch, gave her a sense of grace. I could offer her Tylenol, headache to leave her. What could she offer me for my fever? Okay, and then an excerpt from that talks about my grandpa Bert, which I remember a little bit about him from childhood. Growing up in the 40s in St. Louis, we never knew we were poor. My 3 brothers, little sister, and I always had food on the table, fresh eggs for breakfast, pilfered from the chicken coop in our backyard. Milk, butter, and bread delivered to our door from trucks that rumbled down brick alleys, and for our evening supper, grandiose family meals such as grandma's chicken and dumplings. We did not endure a potato famine like our Irish ancestors, nor did we spend time in long lines waiting for food like our parents who lived through the Great Depression. Our dad had left, abandoning my mom and her 5 children, but we had grandfather Bert who loved us and would take us out. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom, for that. Our next reader is a member of our San Bernardino Library workshop at the Row Branch. Candace Shields is a theology professor, and I'd like to welcome her now. Welcome, Candace.
Thank you very much for having me. Am I unmuted?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. I'm gonna be reading the excerpt from Georgia's Little Red Riding Hood. As I roll over in bed, I smell food cooking in the kitchen. The rain is steadily dripping on the roof. The rhythm is comforting and soothing. No wonder I slept so late. The steady beat of rain on the roof lulled me into a real deep sleep. You can smell the Georgia red clay because the rain has made it wet. It must have rained all night. The red clay of Georgia is dark and slippery. I can see that from my bedroom window. Mama's up early cooking, but the smell is not breakfast food. I would have loved to have bacon and eggs with some blueberry pancakes on the side, but that is not what I am smelling. What I am smelling is more like lunch or dinner. It can't possibly be that late. Mama would never let me sleep past lunchtime. Life on a Georgia farm was run on a schedule, and the schedule very seldom changed. Something is going on for the schedule to change so drastically. So I guess I better get up and see what's going on. I don't dare go into the kitchen before I have washed up and I am fully dressed. Mama set the rules for the house, and no matter what was going on, we couldn't bypass those rules. She ruled with an iron hand, and she didn't forget once you committed an infraction. And one of those rules was to be fully dressed before we sat at the table to eat. Thank God I took the time to rebraid my hair last night and tied it up before I went to bed. That's one thing I wouldn't have to worry about. I just need to wash up and get dressed. As I put oil on my dark brown skin, it begins to glisten and feel so much better. I always found it amazing. The mama's skin is light caramel color, and daddy's skin is the same as mine, dark brown. It just seems that I would have been born a cinnamon color like my brothers. However, nature had a totally different idea. It appears at this time that I didn't get any of Mama's features. She had beautiful black hair and gorgeous hazel eyes, but I guess I got my looks from Grandma, who had stubborn hair and skin the color of espresso. So where did Mama get her caramel color and beautiful hair? They say she got it from Grandpa to Henry, but I don't know because I never met my grandfather. He died when I was too young to remember him. After I made up my bed, washed up and dressed, I went into the kitchen to see where everyone else was and why Mama wasn't cooking breakfast. Good morning, Mama, I said to Mama as I turned the corner to the kitchen. Mama turned with a loaf of hot bread right out the oven in her hands and said, well, it's about time you were up and dressed. Where's everybody else? I asked. Your father and brothers are already gone into the field. Since I needed you to run an errand for me this morning, when I finished cooking, I decided to let you sleep in. As I was wondering what errand Mama could possibly want me to run for her today, I sat down and started munching on a biscuit I found on the plate in the center of the table. I knew not to ask her outright, but just to sit down and wait. Mama would tell me in her own good time, and it would be better for me just to wait. And I hope you'll get to read the rest of Little Red Riding Hood's adventure. Thank you.
Thank you, Candace. Now we want to know how that ends. So anybody who wants a copy, you know how to find me. So our next reader tonight is Natalie Champion. She is a poet who lives in San Francisco with her husband, Rick, who is also another reader tonight, and their two cats, Princess Tabitha and Milo Morris. And she's reading tonight alongside her parents as well, Tom and Delia. So it's a family affair this evening. Welcome, Natalie.
Thank you. I'm going to read two poems from the 2019 anthology, Follow the Raven. Follow the raven. Above the ocean, it flaps its wings. Where is it going? Shall I follow it or stay here along the shore? Another sedentary rock, waiting to turn into hot, molten lava, running down the ashen, sleeping volcano. The next one is called Our Bridge, the bridge that connects us. Our love, our lives entwined, our hearts beating as one, in rhythm with each other. Thank you.
Thank you, Natalie. That was great. Next up is Laurel Vermilia Cortes, who has been faithfully attending Inlandia Institute's workshops for a very long time. And she is an occasional contributor to our Inlandia Literary Journeys weekly newspaper column. So welcome, Laurel. Let's see. And okay. There we go.
Hello. My first little anecdote is from work. It's called The Secret Life of Office Workers. What? What? He's into control. He says you can't hear me. Can you hear me? The Secret Life of Office Workers. Laurel, I have known you for more than 20 years and I've never seen you angry. Really? It interests me because as a Spanish woman, I'm used to demonstrations of anger. You always stay the same. You are always smiling or laughing. Really? Maybe that's why they call us secretaries, because we can keep things like that secret. You are an office manager, not a secretary. Not much different. Oh, yes. And I've never seen you get angry with your staff. Really? Well, no one has the right to yell at anyone. That's my credo. But with 100 employees, yes, many people scream at you. How many professors have raised their voices to you? All but one of you, and that man never steps foot into the office. And yet you remain composed. There may be an alternative interpretation of my steady demeanor. Yes, what would it be? Perhaps in all these years you have never seen me when I am not angry. You're funny. Am I? This one is a poem and it's called Colorado Quakies. And one thing I have to tell you is that Aspen Airways to locals is called Gaspin Scareways, and for good reason. We fly in on Gaspin Scareways, skimming 14,000-foot mountains. Next day, we're jamming down zip lines through snowflakes at the glorious top of the Rockies. Back down to toast those 14ers at the toasty Leadville Hostel and Inn. Hot food, hot drinks, hot conversation, overheated room. But a very cool place. In 1927, when my dad was 19, freed from his job guarding the gold mine. He rode up to this place with his brother Revel, guiding his horse/friend, Nellie. Exploring fir forest, eating from the lakes. The youngsters camped out with flora and fauna. A mysterious silence engulfed them, and my dad whispered, "Listen to the silence." Then from a far below place there came, bouncing from red tree to gold tree up the trail, a wave of soft whooshing syncopation, enchanting the brothers and moving on. 1,000 tiny hearts shimmy and shake in the tall, skinny trees, nicknamed Quakies. The sound of the Old West is in the wind, passing through those trembling aspens. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Laurel. That was wonderful. So next up is Albin Chamberlain. Fans of Inlandia's storytelling workshops and events, The Flame, might recognize him. Al has taught for over a decade in secondary schools in the Inland Empire, and he is a member of Inlandia's San Bernardino workshop at the Roe Branch Library. So welcome, Al.
Thank you. I'd like to tell you a simple story about a man who woke up one morning and decided he wanted to walk across the borderline to visit an old friend who lived in a town on the other side. This is called On the Borderline. On a sunny day, I went for a walk and thought to cross the borderline. When I arrived at that mark on my map, nothing was there to find. Barring the roadway were barriers, armed guards, and drug-sniffing dogs. Customs agents on both sides were taking in revenue like insatiable hogs. I walked up to a tall man just standing there with his gun. I smiled at him and asked, "What are you protecting us from?" "Many terrible people over there wish to bring drugs into our land." I replied, would they be trying so hard if there wasn't such a demand? "There are hordes of impoverished people who wish to cross to get a job." I said, would they still be coming if our employers couldn't our workers rob? "There are foreign terrorists across that line who wish to bring our nation down." "Yes, and our soldiers are over there killing all the jihadists that they can find. All the jihadists that can be found. We're trying to protect our great nation's culture and our way of life. What sort of culture do we have to protect with so much anger and strife? We need a wall from Gulf to sea to protect the land of the free. Sir, we already have the FBI and NSA spying on you and me." I said, "How much do they pay you to protect this invisible line?" "Well, I earn a very good living and I'm worth every dime." "Well, sir, I'm trained as a public school teacher and I can barely afford to eat. I should have signed up to guard this invisible line where our two countries meet. I just set out to walk to a village over there by that hill, over there below that hill. Then you have to go to the back of the line and pay the bill. You'll need a passport and a visa to cross over there to stay. To get there, to get these vital documents, there are many fees to pay. When you cross, you'll have to pay for any personal goods you declare. When you return across that line, you'll pay for any goods you bought there." On that sunny day, I decided not to cross that invisible border line. I didn't want to enrich these people by giving them what was mine. I hear experts talking of a new global economy all the time. Still, nation states jealously guard their invisible border lines. From the International Space Station, no lines are visible on continents below, yet entire armies guard the lines that the paper political maps all show. Perhaps my children will live in a world where all these lines have disappeared. Some people say this would be a good thing, while others say it should be feared. Maybe that which our God didn't create shouldn't be recognized. He made a single earth for us all, and we're all equal in his eyes. Thank you.
Thank you, Al. So we have coming up next, we have Delia Vaden, who is also a member of several of Inlandia's creative writing workshops, and she is a retired preschool teacher. She lives in Riverside with her husband, Tom. So welcome, Delia.
Thank you, Katie. Can you hear me? Okay.
Yes.
The wedding. As a teenager, is it okay? In Planada, California, I was sipping a cup of hot chocolate with canela with my mom in our kitchen. It had rained the night before, and the fresh scent of the rain brought her fond memories of when she got married in a cave. I was captivated by her words and wanted to know more. She took a couple of sips of hot chocolate, and I pleaded with her to tell me more about this intriguing story. In 1927, she was a young girl of 14 when she met Dad, who was 18. While picking nopalitos for her dinner where she lived with her father and stepmother, she noticed Dad on his cream-colored stallion. Their eyes seemed to lock, and she swore her heart beat so fast she would die if she did not meet this handsome and tall and slender vaquero. It was love at first sight. She was petite with large dark eyes that sparkled. He plucked a red rose and handed it to her, being careful not to prick her hand with a thorn. Roses grew wild among where the cacti were growing. Mom's family did not approve of him, as he was a wild cowboy no one could tame. They presumed he would focus his attention on his beloved horse, as was typical of most cowboys, and did not believe he was worthy of their daughter. The lovers felt they had to keep their feelings a secret from their parents. They wrote love notes to each other and placed them under a rock. Unless you were married, any displays of affection for the opposite sex, such as holding hands, embracing, kissing, and even sitting close to each other, were frowned upon. My mother, Erlinda, continued with her story. She was 15 when my dad, Vicente, proposed to her on bended knee, near the rocks where they exchanged passionate love letters. She accepted as she was mature for her age and very much in love. They wanted to get married in a church, but this was not possible. Churches were burned to the ground and Catholic priests murdered by government soldiers. Many Catholics were in danger of being persecuted for practicing their faith. My parents were very much aware of the beatings and hangings. They knew the government would show no mercy if they caught them. Mother said, "What do we do now?" In spite of the almost insurmountable problems, no one could stop these two headstrong lovers from getting married. Not parents, not even the government soldiers. When they finally decided that they would get married in a cave, she expressed she would have liked to wear ribbons and other ornaments. However, she and my father were pressed for time. Mom barely managed to put on a long ivory-colored dress with matching veil. She had sewn the dress by hand. It was made of cotton with embroidered flowers at the hem. She wanted to look exceptionally beautiful for her wedding day. It took them 3 days to find and convince a priest, as priests were being slaughtered. The churches were closed down, so Vicente and Erlinda located a cave. They took off their boots, caked with dust and dirt, upon entering the cave. The priest had to almost whisper, that way no one would be searching for them. It is here in Zacatecas, Mexico, that Papa married Mama. After the priest pronounced them man and wife, they kissed. It was a moment they had both waited for to become one body and one soul. Dad was convinced that he had married the most beautiful girl in the world, with her long flowing mahogany hair that went down to her waist. Mom could hardly wait to become truly his in the eyes of God and man, and to love him for the rest of her life. She knew she had made the right choice. The 4 minutes are up. I can't hear Katie.
Brian?
I can't hear her either.
So
We can't hear you,
I
Katie.
can't hear you.
Unmuted.
Hello?
Hi.
Nan?
Can you hear us now?
I can hear you.
Can't hear Nan.
Nan, can you unmute yourself?
Nan, unmute.
Happened. It's 2020.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes, we can hear
Yeah.
you.
All
Yes.
right. That was an interesting experiment. So thank you
Yes.
all for hanging in there. And Nan, I apologize, you were silent on your reading. So
Yep.
why don't you log out and leave the meeting and come back, and then we'll try again in a moment. Okay?
We can hear you now.
You can hear me, but not Nan. So thank you to all of our
Nan.
constant audience members. It worked for me to leave and come back, and I think it's just me and Nan who are affected. So why don't we'll come back and we'll give Nan a do-over. And thank you guys. Cindy Ann, you are
Hi.
next. So, and I hear you. So why
And
don't
I
we
hear
start
you.
forward? Cindy is a self-taught writer with Google search savvy. I'd like to hear more about that. Her passion for writing fueled her determination to learn more about the craft. And now she's been part of our workshops program. So welcome,
Yes.
Cindy.
Hi, everyone. If anybody should have been muted, it should have been me because this is rated R. Get the kids out of the room.
Uh-oh.
Okay, so I want to say thank you to Stephanie for her brilliant prompts. Just as I would get comfortable, you would add a twist and fling me into places and subjects. Well, even I didn't know where that was coming from. This is a fictional short story from my Karma series called Keto-tastic. Erica's eyes blinked back tears as she looked out the window of their new low-carb coffee house and bakery, Ketone Cafe. Across the street, a bulldozer grazed the dirt, and a news sign confirmed it. Starbucks coming soon. She read about it in the Malibu Star, but couldn't it have been built on another corner? Of all the corners, isn't that a running joke somewhere? She's a take no shit, green-eyed redhead, a little on the thick side, but getting slimmer by the week on the keto diet. Everyone's heard the word keto, right? How could you not? It's the current low-carb diet fad with over 1 million followers in a Facebook group called Keto for Beginners, previously known as the Atkins diet. It's a sugar-free, very low-carb, high-protein, lots of fat. Do you like bacon, cheese, and butter? Butter on everything. Hey, don't worry so much, Greta tried to reassure her. Remember why we opened this place? To serve the best damn coffee and cake and rule the keto world, right? Fuck yeah. Erica wiped her tears away. They've been together 5 years and going strong. Her wifey. She had an excuse for her extra weight. Their new baby girl. She and Greta are taking turns making a family. The sperm donor was Greta's first love, Dex. Daisy is 6 months old now. In 5 months, Greta will give birth to a boy, Dylan. They didn't use artificial insemination either. Dex said it was an honor and his pleasure. He sounds like a perv, but he donated a kidney to his best friend too. Big heart, great genes. Erica noticed a wet stain on her blouse and threw a towel over her shoulder to cover it up. Pumping was her life lately. This schedule threw her a little off lately. Since coming back to work, she had milk overflow. She hated leaving Daisy with Greta's mom. but she was happy she was safe and loved. Erica bent down and lovingly kissed her belly. Let's get that money, babe. She met Greta at a tiki bar in Huntington Beach, black hair and voluptuous body covered in tattoos, a living, beautiful mural. She smelled like vanilla sugar. It was her first female experience. She tells everyone, I kissed a girl and I liked it. Can you believe the line at the door? Wow, Greta said. We worked our asses off. This is incredible. Keto friendly is the shit. As she opens to the public, the strong aromatic scent of Cuban dark roasted coffee charges through the entrance. The chime of the door opening and closing is so welcomed. Keto Cafe has small chic bistro tables and lounge type couches in the corners. They wanted comfort and ambiance. Welcome, come on in. It's 2 for the price of 1 on our bakery items, Greta said. And I'm gonna leave you there because the doors are open for business and they are gonna serve up some keto karma later in the story. So if you'd like to know the ending, please buy the anthology. We'd really appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you, Cindy. That was fun and good way to leave us on a cliffhanger.
I'm different.
All right, so it seems like we're back and running again. So let's try Nan again. Nan, unmute and let's see if your volume's back. Are you there?
I'm here.
Oh, yay.
Can you hear me?
I can. So
oh my gosh.
One more time.
I'll just read one since I've taken time up already.
Oh, well, we appreciate your coming back because
that's okay. I'm glad I was able to come back. This one's called At Her. It's just about a regular girl. She was a high school cheerleader. She graduated from nursing school and she might be a neighbor of yours. I watched through slats of plantation shutters across the street. He's at her again, picking at her, pointing his finger at her, yelling at her, pulling at her hair, yanking at her arm, grabbing at her neck, laughing at her. She should hit back at him. She should call the cops. She should leave him. She should. I heard the pop. Now she's at my door, seeing her up close, bruised, defeated, a toddler at her side, at a loss for what to do next. At least I can call the police. At least I can tell them what I saw. I should have done it before. Done.
Well, thank you, Nan. I'm sorry we didn't get to hear your other poem.
That's okay. Read the book.
Okay, very good. So next up, we have Jose Luis Vizcarra, who is a member of the Janet Goski workshop with Selena Diana Bumpus, who unfortunately was not able to make it tonight, but she was scheduled to read, and we wish her the very best. Jose is a Vietnam War vet, and he was born in Chihuahua, Mexico, and after using his GI Bill to pay for 13 years of college education, he taught elementary school and adult ESL for 33 years. So welcome, Jose. You're on mute. Uh-oh. Still can't hear you, Jose. Okay. No, can't hear you. So, Jose, why don't you do what we just did with Nan, leave and come back. And we're gonna go on to our next reader and we will come back. So Carolyn, we are ready to introduce you. Carolyn enjoys writing fictional stories and bringing her characters to life. She learned the art of storytelling from her grandmother, who frequently entertained the family with amazing stories that included fictional characters in real events. So welcome, Carolyn. And Carolyn, you're also, are you muted or has your volume gone out? Uh-oh. We are definitely experiencing some technical difficulties tonight. Well, still can't hear you. Where are you on the list? Carolyn, it looks like you're unmuted, but we still can't hear you. Okay, so let's do this. And Carolyn, why don't you leave the meeting and come right back? And how are you doing, Francis? We are definitely having some issues, but Francis, you want to give it a try? Unmute yourself.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you. Okay, very good. And
thank you very much. I'm going to read an excerpt from actually a true story that I wrote called Song of Praise for Isabel and Margarita. The poetry of las cafeteras resounded. Bailen, bailen, mujeres de luna. Bailen, bailen, déjanse de contar. Spanish for dance, dance. Women of the moon. Dance, dance, let yourself be counted. While listening to the evocative melody and lyrics of Mujeres de Luna, my imagination wandered. Visions emerged of two badass Mexican women from Casablanca who had the audacity to petition the Riverside City Board of Education 110 years ago because their children counted. They walked over 4 miles in the searing summer heat to request a neighborhood school for their children. The activist mothers served as Casablanca's culture bearers in pursuit of education equity. The July 11, 1911 minutes of the school board meeting state, a petition was presented, signed by 80 residents of Casablanca, asking for the erection of a public school in that locality. It appears that more than 70 children of school age reside in Casablanca. The petitioners' names weren't deemed important enough to record in the school board minutes. Why? They also weren't identified in the Riverside Press newspaper the following day, which reported a committee of 2 women from Casablanca appeared before the meeting of the board with a petition asking that some facilities be provided by the board for a school at Casablanca. Could it have been the anti-Mexican sentiment of the era? Whatever the rationale, these 2 unnamed women were heroic, unsung heroes. They, along with the 80 signatories on the petition, served as Casablanca's culture bearers seeking equitable educational opportunities for their children. But social justice was elusive. 2 years later, in 1913, at the behest of Stella Atwood, the sole female school board member, the district established makeshift classrooms for Casablanca kindergarten and first grade students in an old abandoned Prenda warehouse. Then in 1918, the district moved the aged wooden structure to Madison Street in the center of Casablanca. Later, in early 1923, it burned down. Soon after, the trustees had voted to hire a young Mabra maiden as principal of the Casablanca school. Finally, 12 years after the pivotal petition by Las Adelitas, the school district at long last built a new Casablanca school in 1923. The plain, sturdy structure was designed by noted architect G. Stanley Wilson. It was built of reinforced concrete, a construction innovation at the time, and still stands today. In 1967, against the wishes of the Casablanca community, the district closed the public school to implement a storied desegregation program, utilizing one-way school busing of Casablanca students to no less than 8 different schools. The busing of Casablanca students to other schools continues to date, but not for long. Justice is imminent. The Riverside Unified School District Board of Trustees voted unanimously to approve the purchase of property on Lincoln Avenue. Thank you very much. My story is on page 14. I invite you to read as to what happens. Thank you.
Thank you, Frances. And thanks to everyone's patience. Let's go back and let's try Carolyn. Are you ready to go?
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh,
Yay.
good. Okay.
Yes.
All right. Let me go ahead and get my story. Let me close my door. Okay, I'm going to read a story to you called The Invited Guest. Thanksgiving is a happy, festive family time where people gather and celebrate the season. Family and friends come over and bring food, merriment, and fun usually. Flashback to the winter of 2005. I was hosting Thanksgiving dinner again, and I had recently run into my brother, whom none of us had seen for years. Hi, Linda, it's me, Alex. I just wanted to call and say hello and see how you're doing. It was good seeing you the other day. Oh, hi, Alex. How are you doing? I'm surprised to hear from you after all these years. How are you? How did you get my number? Oh, I've had your number for years. And you're just now calling me after 10 years of nobody knowing where you were or how you're doing? Yeah, sorry about that. I've been in the military working with the special forces. I wasn't allowed to tell anyone where I was or what job I was doing. Yeah, right, I thought. Brother, you probably just got out of the pen. Oh. Alex, we haven't heard from you in years. Ever since you and Dad got into that big argument and you left, no one has seen or heard from you in a very long time. Alex had a way of pushing Dad's buttons and arguing with him on a regular basis. Of course, the stuff they argued about was usually trivial and unimportant most of the time because they pretty much disagreed about everything, just for the sake of being disagreeable. The disagreement usually ended when Dad would stand up, grab his keys and say, "Oh, wow, look at the time. I was supposed to be out of here 30 minutes ago." Or sometimes to end the conflict, he would abruptly change the conversation to something else like sports or one of his other favorite subjects, his new boat. Anyway, whatever the reason was, I don't remember. I have too many things going on in my own life to try to remember what he was upset about every time he shut down and stopped talking to everyone. I always tried to cut him some slack since he was younger than me and my 3 older sisters. I always had a sense that we needed to watch out for him and take care of him because he was the baby of the family. This Thanksgiving Day, because I hadn't seen him in a while, during a phone conversation, I invited him to come over for dinner. He was very excited and said he'd be there. I quickly gave him my address and told him he didn't have to bring anything. He said he'd bring something, but he wasn't sure what. Thanksgiving Day arrived, and as Mom, Dad, my sisters, brother-in-law, cousins, and the rest of the family began to arrive, I was busy getting everything ready and preparing to put the food on the table. Mom and Debbie, my sister, helped out. While we were getting everything ready and setting the table, I suddenly heard my dad say, "Oh my goodness, what are you doing here? Hey, honey, hey," he said to Mom excitedly, "Alex is here." At the sound of that announcement, other relatives started going to the front door to greet him, and say hello as he walked into the front hallway. It was such a surprise for everyone that I was happy I had invited him. It really felt good to see him and to see everyone's response. However, that happy festive feeling didn't last very long. It turns out that Alex didn't actually call me out of the blue on a whim. As the men began to settle in and watch the football game, I could overhear my brother saying to my dad, "Hey, I can get you back in a few months. I just need to borrow $2,000 so I can move and put a deposit down on a new apartment." What in the world was my brother doing? $2,000? Alex was asking Dad if he could borrow $2,000? I thought as I was trying to tend to my guests and listen to his conversation with my dad. By then, the white Zinfandel was flowing. Most everyone was watching the football game. Others had started a card game. At the table in the den, the kids were outside running around in the backyard and the Thanksgiving party was in full swing. Oh Lord, please don't let an argument start. I prayed silently to myself as the nervousness and anxiety began to creep up on me. This was not going well. Maybe I should have invited him to a quiet Sunday dinner instead of something as big and festive as Thanksgiving dinner where everybody showed up. Would anyone like dessert? I announced. The choices are sweet potato pie, chocolate cake, vanilla ice cream, fresh fruit. The heated discussion began to calm down a little with the dessert announcement. "Hey, Linda, I'll have some dessert." Thank goodness, I thought, as my knees began to grow weak at the thought of a family fight after all of these years of peace. My big sister Diane came to the rescue. Diane was the one who always came through. She could sense trouble and come to the rescue at a moment's notice. "Alex," I called to my brother, "here's some sweet potato pie and hot tea for you." He didn't hear me. He was upset now because Dad turned him down and said he couldn't lend him the money. What a setup, I felt. I can't believe my brother came over here to the Thanksgiving party, not with the intent of celebrating the season and spending happy times with his family, but he came with the intent of asking Dad for money. It was obvious to everyone, especially my dad, that Alex had come here for this reason. He had not called me out of the blue. Asking Dad for money was the reason he came over for Thanksgiving dinner that day. "Son, if you just came from the military," my dad said, "after being gone for over 10 years, you should have some money, housing benefits, and everything else that goes along with military service." My brother didn't say anything. I realized that I invited him by mistake, thinking that it would be a good thing since none of us had seen him in such a long time. It started off okay. How could I have known that after all these years that had passed, he was still the same person he was when he left? I tried not to be upset with him, but I had to fight the guilty feelings I had about the way things turned out. I gave myself credit for trying to bring him back into the fold, to the family, so that we could all begin to welcome Alex back and spend time together like we used to. But I guess it just was not meant to be. The end.
Well, thank you, Carolyn. As we all look forward to Thanksgiving coming up. So we have 2 more readers to go. At this time, I would like to bring back Jose. Shall we try again? Let's see if your audio is working.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, yay, okay.
Well, I'm
All
very
right.
proud to be wearing this. It's the National Month for Writing, and I have to write 50,000 words in November. I've done it twice in the past year, and I'm to 16,000 right now. So every now and then, because to me, passion is the thing that drives the best writers. My best writing is at night, a nice glass of wine, and I'm very happy or in love, and I'm totally pissed at what's going on. So it creates in the camp. So I want to start with this poem because I was a teacher and I became an educator. I really care about each child, even though it took longer, but it's about the emotion. And unfortunately, many of us have excuses for what we don't have. So I title Regardless. I say, regardless who your parents were, nobody can pick the parents who they want. Regardless of the care they gave you, be thankful because they did the best for you. Regardless of the culture you inherited, it took centuries to create, so be proud of it. Regardless of the food that you can eat, there are others who are starving right now. Regardless of the bad school that you attended, nobody told you that you cannot educate yourself. Regardless of how you take for granted what you have, one day you might lose them and then you want it back. Regardless of how you feel superior to others, there are always others who have much more and don't brag. Regardless how much higher education you have, there are others, better educators, who didn't go to college. Regardless how much you possess, I encourage you to have much more. Regardless of the fortune that you have, I encourage you to teach others to learn to do so. Regardless how well you have learned English, I advise you to learn other languages too. Regardless how smart you think you are, there is wisdom to be acquired. Regardless if you think that you became successful by yourself, you are forgetting those who help you getting there. Regardless of the problems you have created, only God can guide you to solve your own mistakes. Regardless how much you hate to make mistakes, they are the best teacher that we always have. Regardless of how much texting you do, the only true writing is with a paper and a quill. And that's what I used to sign my name on the book when I read a quill. Now, like they say, nobody became perfect at what they do, and nobody succeeds by themselves. They always need somebody to guide us. And I wrote this thank you message to Selena. That's the title. To Selena, a great leader of the written word. You were created to beautify the world with the most powerful way to beautify the world, books. We appreciate your total commitment to us scribes who need your wisdom and guidance. Our experience is one of passion and creativity, pencils, pens, markers, paint brushes, spray paint, lipstick, mascara, and our own blood. When we run out of writing utensils, computers, iPhones, iPads, and whatever we get our fingers on. Some of us will beg, borrow, and steal to complete our projects. Since we have a full day of activities, positive or not, we go through our days leaving a path to follow or one that is contaminated with useless activities. Your lessons touch our weak areas, and they are like doing physical activities that we have never done before. Those muscles are sore until we use those areas consistently. As human beings, we are very conscious of our weaknesses, and we are afraid to expose our faulty areas. Being published in our book gave us, each one of us, true scribe pride. It is so sad to visit a cemetery full of names of people who were totally forgotten. Artists, writers, and those whose evidence behind will never be forgotten. Anyone who picks up our work of art will read our name and refer that creation to others who will in turn will be blessed by the author years or centuries when they are gone into the radiant center in the sky. The paper with the flower represents You're spreading our seeds of writing all over the world. And I close by saying, we are an example to live our lives or a warning. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jose. That was great. So now for our final reader of this evening, I would like to introduce Rick Champion, who is a writer full of surprises. So Rick, I think you are, there you are. Do you have, are you muted or have you lost your volume also? You're not muted. Go ahead and leave and come right back and we'll just talk for a second. So everybody who has read this evening is a part of Inlandia's Creative Writing Workshops program, which has been in place since 2008. It began as a program at the Riverside Public Library, one summer workshop, and we are grateful to still have that partnership today. We heard from Carlos Cortes earlier. Carlos is currently leading our workshop at the library, which is of course virtual right now on Zoom. And his focus has been on chronology. But with the workshops, we become one big family, and it really is heartwarming for me to see all these different workshop participants who may not have met each other yet come together to read their works as a group. In years past, we would have been at Barnes & Noble, or we might have been at the Arlington Branch Library. Both venues we've historically have always packed them in. So this is a little different, but we are adapting to the times. And we are just very happy to still be able to offer these programs. So shall we give it another shot? Rick, are you back? Oh, a success. Okay. So
surprise, I'm back.
Surprise. Thank you, Rick.
Oh, you're quite welcome. Thank you. A short poem. If I was a shape, what shape would I be? Tall, like an Amazon tree. Thin, reaching high through shade to the sky and sun above. Just to be me. If I was a movement, what movement would I be? A step, one at a time, pausing here and there to smell flowers, watch the bees, and listen for the raven, finding his high place, and for the hummingbird, flying to see flowers. Then stepping again, 1, 2, 3. If I was a color, what color would I be? Flashing gold, tried by fire, shiny and bright, like a treasure island pirate doubloon, but also soft as your hair streaked with golden brown in the sun splash. That's it.
That was gorgeous. So worth the wait, everybody. And thank you all again for being here. Let's give a warm round of applause. I know you can use the icons, but I wish we were here in person. We have one of our audience members who, oh, Robin, did you want to speak? Raise your hand again. I saw your hand go back down. But we're really grateful to have all of you here, and I'm really grateful for all of our workshop participants and all of our workshop leaders and our wonderful library venue partners who are still partnering with us even through this pandemic shutdown. So we will be back again. And again, tonight's event was in partnership with the Riverside Public Library as part of the Virtual Arts Walk series. So first Thursday of every month, we have some activities lined up here. Follow us on Facebook or join our email list if you're not already on it. I invite you now, if you have any questions, please drop them in the Q&A box. But as I don't see any there, I think we will all just adjourn and we will see each other again in the real world sometime soon. So until then, be well, stay safe. Everybody, you're welcome to unmute and say goodbye if you want to.
Goodbye, goodbye. That was a
Bye,
wonderful
bye.
reading. Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Thank
Good
you.
seeing everyone.
Stay safe.
Goodbye. Thank you.
Take care.
Enjoy the wine too. Good wine.
Okay, have a good night.
We'll join you.